I'm gay and I'm married to a woman, and I grew up with a conservative family, and a lot of the questions we get are how our family responded to our relationship. So I want to talk in depth about my family, about their reaction to our relationship and my coming out, and what it was like to grow up in a conservative Christian home as a gay person. So I grew up in a conservative house. Like I said, my parents divorced when I was 3 years old, and my mom lived in this area that was like very hippie and liberal, and my dad lived in this very conservative town. And I had a lot of juxtaposition growing up between the two. And I was always brought up, even my mom's side was Catholic, but not like the extreme kind, very, very light Catholic. And my dad's side of the family was very devout, and still is very devout Christian. And growing up in their church, there was a lot of talk about queerness and not accepting gay people, basically, was a lot of what went on in this church. There was a time I specifically remember where they stood up at the front of the congregation with a petition to block gay marriage, and I was very bothered by this. And growing up, my family would always say, we don't agree with that, and it's just not what God wants for us, and it's a sin. So this sort of talk definitely put a fear in me, because I was already feeling the feelings of homosexuality, obviously, very, very young. And I was scared that there basically comes a thing where when you feel that way and you know that your family feels a different way, there's a divide that happens, and you feel like you're living a life they don't fully understand or they don't fully agree with, and you're hiding something that is something they would resent if they knew it about you. And that creates a lot of mental insanity for a young child to have to deal with. Your parents are your protectors, they're the people you know, they're the people you want the acceptance of and the love of more than anybody else on this planet, especially at that time. And to experience that so young definitely isolates you in a way that is probably unnatural for a child to go through. On top of that, you've got the lack of acceptance going on at school with other kids, and it definitely makes you feel like you're the freak show outside of the normal. And on my mom's side, there wasn't really talk about this, and my mom always said to me, if you felt this way, I would love you and accept you no matter what. So I had that sort of understanding. It didn't mean I was completely open to the idea of sharing my feelings with her or with anybody. And especially when you're that young, you know you have the feelings, but you don't quite have the words to express them yet. You're like, okay, I know, like, I'm having a crush on a boy that I'm around, and this is different than normal, but like, how do I express this, and why would I ever want to express this, because it's probably not going to be met with acceptance. And so I grew up for years and years, 25 years, not telling my family that I was gay, and hiding that part of me, and them sort of seeing a not full picture of who I am. And this is tragic, and I boil it down to the lack of acceptance that I grew up with, and this is the sorts of negative reactions that come from not accepting people for who they are. And I think a lot of people wonder if I have resentments towards Christianity or towards conservatives, and I absolutely do not. As a matter of fact, I have a very special, loving place for them in my heart, because they are my family, and I grew up in that environment, and I think I have a really deep understanding of why they feel the way they feel, even if I feel that it's flawed. and even if I don't agree with it. And I think that that's a really wonderful place to get to. And I actually hope more of the queer people I know and more of our gay friends could get to this place, because I know a lot of gay people that hang on to resentment for conservatives. They're always like, oh, those Christians and all that stuff. And, you know, there's almost like you get a pass in the gay community to hate on Christians because of the bigotry that we've experienced in the past. And I actually think that's the relationship that needs the most healing. And if we both come at it with acceptance, more beautiful things will arise. And instead of all this resentment, it's pushing us further and further apart still. And I actually think more Christians in this day and age have come around to accepting gay people, gay marriage, than ever before. I mean, it's almost a minority in this day and age to find a Christian who doesn't believe in gay marriage. Or maybe they're not 100% on board, but they think it's okay to legally to be married, or they have a friend who's gay that they love, or, you know, there's so many people out there that are accepting now. It's beautiful. Are there still really big bigots and issues? Absolutely. And one of the things I talk about is I grew up with a friend who was afraid to come out because of his family, and when he came out, unfortunately, a week later, he took his own life. And this scared me a lot. I was 21 at the time. I just turned 21 when he passed away. And it was a formative experience for me, because I had been living with this secret and maybe toying with the idea of ever coming out. And that was a moment where I was like, my God, like, this can really go south if your family doesn't accept you. And I don't think I was the type of person that would have gone that far. I know I'm not. I'm not the type of person that would have ever gone to that extreme had I not been accepted by my parents, but it definitely would have fucked me up. And I didn't want that to ever be my story. And I think that led to more years of suppression. And I basically just came to this idea that I was like, that's a part of me that's private, and they don't need to know it. They don't need to be a part of that journey for me. And I can love them and accept them for who they are, but that's not my story to tell them. So it's okay. And eventually meeting my wife and her knowing me and my story, and then seeing how suppressing my queerness to my family was actually creating a lot of anger and sadness in me, prompted us to talk about coming out to them. And I couldn't quite see it. I couldn't quite have the vision outside of myself to understand how detrimental not coming out was to my mental health. And she could see it all over me. And, you know, but you can't pressure somebody to come out if they're not ready. And she didn't, but she was talking to me about how it could be healthier and kind of like hinting at it a lot. And I'm like fighting it. I'm going, no. Like, that's not going to change anything about me. That's not the reason I'm angry. So I eventually did come out, and I came out to my mom first, and she was, of course, loving and accepting. And then about a year and a half later, I came out to my dad, which was the big hurdle. And he was accepting. He completely understood and still understands. And that side of my family hasn't disowned me or anything like that. Is it something they're maybe a little afraid to talk about? Sure. They're scared to maybe push at it, and I don't quite know all the intricacies of their feelings, but on the surface, they love me and accept me. We were able to move on from that hurdle, and I was able to release the anger and the sadness of them not knowing, which was the most important thing there. And I think we have actually become a lot closer over it. I think that even if they don't accept it fully in their heart, they appreciate the honesty. I think everybody does. Even if honesty hurts people, they see it as a level of depth to a relationship if you can open up to them in that way. And I encourage anybody to get to that point with their friends and family, because it will really strengthen your bonds. Now, not for everybody. We know I've had another friend that was pushed away by their family over this. And I've seen the examples multiple times now that I do know how extreme the bigotry can be for some people growing up in these conservative relationships. I've also seen gay friends push their own conservative family away over their own bigotry towards that. So it does work both ways. And it's a responsibility for the gay community to heal this relationship as much as it is a responsibility for the conservative Christian community to heal the relationship. Both sides need to let go of anger and resentment and come to a place of understanding, even if they don't fully agree with each other. A gay person living in West Hollywood with no religion is never going to fully agree with a conservative Christian in the Midwest, but they can reach a place of love and understanding for each other. And that's what's so important. So the message here is just accept people, love them, no matter if they're conservative Christian, if they're gay, and find a way to meet them and just be brutally honest with them, and it will heal everybody. I know it. And ultimately it will heal this bigger problem we have in our culture of anger, of not accepting, and the world will be a better place.